Have you ever felt the silence in her eyes before she even said a word? That chilling moment when you realize the woman lying next to you is already gone in her heart, even though her body is still beside you. Men don't notice it at first. She laughs at your jokes, she kisses you goodnight, she still takes your calls, but something inside her has already started packing up. And here's the brutal truth no one ever told you. Most women replace you in their mind long before they walk out of your life. By the time she leaves, the goodbye already happened weeks, months, sometimes even years before. This is not about hatred. It's about survival. A woman doesn't wake up one morning and decide to leave the man she once swore she loved. She slowly rewires her emotions, step by step, in secret. She distances herself emotionally while keeping the routine alive, so you won't notice the shift. She withdraws her heart before she withdraws her presence. That's why so many men are shocked when she finally says, "I don't love you anymore." You think it came out of nowhere, but the truth? She already left. You just didn't see it. Here's what you need to understand. Women are emotional investors. When she's in, she's all in. She gives you her energy, her trust, her affection, her youth, her loyalty. But if she feels that her investment isn't paying back in the way she needs, she starts searching for somewhere else to put it. Not always consciously at first. Sometimes it starts small. She follows someone new on social media. She notices how another man listens more carefully. She finds herself smiling at a stranger's attention. These moments seem innocent, but to her subconscious, their trial runs for escape. And here's the part that cuts the deepest. Women rarely leave without having a safety net. Not because they're cruel, but because biology and psychology condition them to secure stability before leaping. Think about it. Throughout history, a woman's survival depended on having protection, resources, and emotional connection. That wiring hasn't disappeared. So when she feels like she's losing those things with you, she looks for them elsewhere before she officially cuts ties. By the time she says goodbye, she may already have another man emotionally lined up, even if she hasn't crossed the physical line yet. Most men never see it coming. Why? Because you assume love is permanent. You think loyalty is fixed. You mistake her silence for peace when it's actually detachment. You tell yourself she's just tired, just stressed, just busy. But no, she's rehearsing a life without you. Every time she withholds affection, every time she chooses scrolling over talking to you, every time she shares her deepest thoughts with a friend instead of with you, she's transferring her intimacy somewhere else. That's how replacement begins, quietly, invisibly, deadly. The cruel irony is that she'll often act even more normal right before she leaves. She'll smile, she'll laugh, she'll keep the peace because she doesn't want conflict before her exit. It's not fake. It's her way of leaving without guilt. She wants to convince herself she gave you every chance, that she tried to keep the relationship alive. Meanwhile, in her heart, the door is already locked, and she's holding the key somewhere you'll never reach. But let me tell you something most men never hear. Women don't leave men they deeply respect. They only replace the ones they no longer admire. Respect is oxygen to her desire. Without it, love suffocates. If she feels you've lost your edge, your ambition, your strength, she begins to see you as less of the man she once fell for. And when that respect collapses, her attraction follows. That's when she starts looking elsewhere, not always consciously, but inevitably. The truth is harsh, but freeing. You can't beg her to stay because she already left. You can't bargain with her emotions because she already gave them away. By the time you realize she's gone, you're only arguing with a memory. The real question is, did you stop being the man she could respect long before she stopped being the woman you thought you had? Because here's the secret. A woman doesn't leave to escape love, she leaves to escape emptiness. And if another man offers her the emotional fuel she's been starving for, she won't think twice about handing him the space you once held. That's not because she's heartless, it's because she's human. Women replace before they leave because they don't want to feel the abyss of being alone. They want to step into new arms before stepping out of yours. The reason this truth is so hard for men to accept is because it feels like betrayal. You think, if she loved me, Why didn't she tell me she was unhappy? Why didn't she fight for us instead of planning her escape? But here's the hidden psychology most men never hear. Women don't always leave the moment they feel disconnected. They test you first, often in ways so subtle you don't even notice. They drop hints, they withdraw affection, they express dissatisfaction. They're silently asking, will you step up? Will you see me? Will you reclaim my respect? When those signals go unanswered, something inside her shuts down, and that's when she begins replacing you. Replacement doesn't always mean another man at first. Sometimes the replacement is her career, her friends, her hobbies, or even her phone. Anything that fills the emotional vacuum she feels with you. But over time, emotional replacements evolve into human ones. Because no matter how strong or independent she seems, every woman craves connection, certainty, and admiration. If she's not getting it from you, eventually she'll find it somewhere else. And by the time you notice, it's too late, because her loyalty didn't break in one night. It eroded over time, like a stone worn down by water. This is where so many men make a fatal mistake. They sense her pulling away, and instead of rising, they panic. They beg, they chase, they argue, they demand reassurance. But here's the paradox. The more you cling, the faster she detaches. A woman doesn't fall in love with desperation. She falls in love with strength, with leadership, with a man who commands respect without asking for it. If you break down in fear, the moment she tests you, she sees it as confirmation of why she's been emotionally checking out. You're proving her right in the very moment you're trying to pull her back. Think about this. When was the last time you surprised her? Not with gifts, but with your growth. When was the last time you challenged her instead of trying to please her? When was the last time she looked at you with admiration, not just affection? These are the moments that anchor a woman's loyalty. Without them, she starts to wonder, is this the man I want to give my future to? Is this the man who will keep me inspired and secure? If the answer in her heart turns into doubt, her exit has already begun. Men often confuse comfort with commitment. You think because she laughs with you, because she shares your bed, because she's still there physically, she's still yours. But women can detach while staying. They can sleep next to you while fantasizing about someone else. They can cook dinner with you while texting another man in their mind. That's why replacement feels so sudden, because you never realized she was already gone long before she left. And let's clear something up. Replacement doesn't always mean cheating. Some women never physically cross the line before they leave. But emotional replacement is just as powerful. When she shares her secrets, her frustrations, her excitement, and her dreams with another man instead of you, that's emotional infidelity. That's the bond she once had with you, now being handed to someone else. And when that bond forms, her loyalty shifts. By the time she officially ends things, her heart has already moved on. Here's the part you must burn into your mind. Women leave silently, but replace strategically. She won't tell you she's scanning other options. She won't admit she's comparing you to someone else. Why? Because she doesn't want confrontation before she's ready to leave. She wants to exit with as little resistance as possible. That's why you'll often hear men say, "I didn't see it coming." It's not that there weren't signs, it's that she hid them behind routine until the day she no longer needed to pretend. The painful reality is this. If she replaced you, it's because somewhere along the way, you stopped being irreplaceable. And that doesn't mean being perfect. It means being a man she could respect, admire, and trust. When that identity fades, so does her loyalty. But here's the truth that can save you. Women don't crave perfect men, they crave men who keep growing. Men who don't stop pursuing excellence just because they won her. Men who stay strong, independent, and self-respecting, even inside a relationship. That's what keeps her respect alive. And respect, not love alone, is the glue that prevents replacement. You see, women don't fall out of love overnight. They fall out of admiration first. And once admiration dies, attraction follows. Once attraction fades, replacement begins. That's the sequence. That's the silent process happening behind her smile. The question every man must ask is this: are you building a relationship where she feels safe, inspired, and proud to stand beside you? Or are you slowly becoming the man she needs to emotionally leave before she physically does? Here's the reality most men never want to face. Women don't wait until they're lonely to leave you. They leave when they've already secured another version of what they're missing. That's why so many of you wake up blindsided, confused, replaying every conversation, wondering how she could smile at you one day and vanish the next. But the answer is simple. She wasn't yours anymore, even while she was still there. Her heart was rehearsing her exit, and her mind was rehearsing a new life without you. And here's the most painful part. She didn't need another man to be better than you. She only needed him to be what you stopped being. If you lost your ambition, she found someone with vision. If you stopped listening, she found someone who paid attention. If you stopped leading, she found someone who guided. Replacement isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who restores what you let fade. This is why women replace before they leave. They don't want to face the terror of being alone, uncertain, unsupported. They want security waiting for them before they cut ties. To a man, that feels like betrayal. But to her, it feels like safety. And the sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you can stop being angry at her and start being accountable to yourself. Because here's the truth no one tells men. You don't prevent replacement by begging her to stay. You prevent it by never letting yourself become the man she loses respect for. You prevent it by continuing to grow, to rise, to lead, to inspire. The version of you that first captured her heart was not passive, not stagnant, not desperate. It was alive, driven, untouchable. That's the man she admired. That's the man she would never risk replacing. So many men only wake up to this when it's already too late. She's already gone, already connected to someone else, already moved on emotionally. And that's when regret crushes you, the realization that you ignored the signs, that you abandoned your own greatness, that you thought she would never leave because you assumed love was enough. But love alone isn't enough. Love without respect is fragile. And the moment she stops respecting you, the countdown begins. Listen closely. The solution isn't paranoia, it's purpose. The solution isn't chasing her, it's chasing your mission. Women don't replace men who are anchored in themselves, who command respect, who continue evolving no matter what. They may test you, they may challenge you, but they will not walk away from a man who embodies strength, confidence, and leadership. That is the man she fears losing. That is the man she dreams of keeping. And if she did replace you already, let that pain become your fuel. Don't waste energy plotting revenge, or drowning in bitterness, or obsessing over the new man. None of that will rebuild your life. Instead, take the hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, where did I stop being the man I could respect? Because the truth is, if you can't respect yourself, no woman can sustain her respect for you either. Every replacement is a wake-up call. A call to rise again, to rebuild the strength you lost, to sharpen the edge you dulled, to reclaim the mission you abandoned. A call to stop giving away your power and to start owning it again. Because when you are fully in your power, women don't replace you. They fight to stay by your side. The painful truth is this. Women replace men before they leave because they don't want to fall into emptiness. But the empowering truth is this. You can build yourself into the kind of man she cannot imagine letting go of. Not by clinging, not by begging, but by standing so firmly in your purpose, your strength, and your growth that you remain irreplaceable. So ask yourself now, have you been living as the man she would never risk losing, or the man she quietly prepares to replace? That answer will tell you everything. Question for you. Have you ever noticed a woman slowly detach, replacing you emotionally before she finally left? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this truth today. Let's help more men understand the psychology women never speak out loud. The most haunting thing about women replacing you before they leave is how invisible it feels until it's already over. You'll replay the memories, trying to find the moment it all changed, and you'll realize it wasn't one moment, it was hundreds of little ones. The nights she turned her back in bed, the times she answered with one-word replies, the smiles that no longer reached her eyes. She was slipping away in fragments while you were convincing yourself everything was fine. And by the time you finally woke up to the distance, her heart was already building a new home elsewhere. Here's a brutal truth. Women rarely end relationships for lack of love alone. They end them because of erosion. Erosion of respect, of excitement, of certainty. When she first fell for you, she saw a man with vision, drive, mystery, and strength. She admired you. But as time went on, if you stopped evolving, if you grew complacent, if you lost the edge that once set you apart, she started questioning her choice. Slowly, silently, she began to wonder if the man she gave her heart to still existed. And when that doubt becomes too heavy, replacement begins. A woman's replacement strategy isn't about cruelty, it's about protection. She doesn't want to feel abandoned, so she abandons you first in her mind. She doesn't want to be vulnerable to loss, so she secures another bond before letting go of yours. To her, it feels safer. To you, it feels like betrayal. But in her psychology, it's survival. That's why so many men are blindsided. You thought you had time to fix things, but she had already written the ending months before you even noticed the first crack. And here's what most men miss. Replacement isn't always about another man being better. It's about another man being present. Women don't always leave because the new guy is richer, stronger, or more attractive. Often, it's because he listens when you didn't. He gives her attention when you withheld it. He makes her feel seen when you made her feel invisible. It's not about perfection. It's about filling the void you left open. And once she tastes that feeling again, the contrast is undeniable. The reason this truth hits so hard is because it exposes responsibility. It forces you to face the fact that somewhere, somehow, you stopped showing up as the man she could admire. And instead of recognizing the signs, you distracted yourself. You told yourself she was just moody, just busy, just tired. You didn't realize she was emotionally checking out and auditioning replacements in her mind. That's why it feels like she suddenly changed. But there is no sudden. There's only the long, quiet unraveling you didn't see. Now let me say something that might sting, but it can also set you free. If she replaced you, it's not the end of your worth as a man. It's a mirror. It's showing you where you stopped growing, where you stopped leading, where you stopped protecting your own value. Because here's the paradox. The moment you stop being the prize, you become replaceable. And women, whether they admit it or not, are always drawn to the prize. Not the needy, not the stagnant, not the man who lost himself in comfort. They crave the man who others respect, who respects himself, who never stops building. This doesn't mean you should live in paranoia, watching her every move, terrified of being replaced. That's weakness, and weakness only accelerates the process. It means you must live in strength. You must keep your mission alive, keep your standards intact, keep your growth unstoppable. Because when you are grounded in your own power, you become the man she never wants to risk losing. Women don't replace men they fear losing. They replace men they feel they've already lost. Think about that carefully. If she feels you've lost your hunger, your drive, your edge, she doesn't see you as hers anymore. She sees you as a version of the man she once loved, but not the real thing. That's when the new man doesn't even need to be better. He just needs to be different. And that's why so many men are replaced by someone they'd never consider competition. It's not about him. It's about what you stopped being. The greatest pain you'll ever feel isn't her leaving. It's realizing she stopped believing in you long before she walked away. That sting of betrayal, that gut punch of being blindsided, it all comes from ignoring the signs. But once you accept this truth, you gain power. Because the same psychology that makes her replace you can also make her fight to keep you, if you stay the man she respects. So here's the question. Are you building a life that demands respect, or are you drifting into the kind of man who gets quietly replaced? Are you so consumed with keeping her happy that you forgot the very traits that made her want you in the first place? Because love without respect doesn't last, and respect without strength cannot survive.